Hello Internet, my name is Ayla Tesler-Mabe. One of the most significant and iconic eras of Bowie's entire career lay in the early 70s, where he played an undeniable role in pioneering glam rock. Today I'm going to give you my definitive list and teach you my top David Bowie glam rock riffs. Our first iconic David Bowie glam rock riff is Ziggy Stardust. So what I'm doing is, putting my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string, and then I'm actually muting the A string. And I'm doing that with my middle finger. I'm letting it sort of rest across the A string so that it's muted. And then everything else is open until you get to the B string. Put your 3rd finger on there and pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E string. And now, we're going to move up to a D major bar chord here at the 5th fret of the A string. And if you don't know your bar chords yet, don't worry. There is an alternative to that I'll show you in a moment. But you can definitely hear that this part of the riff is played up here, because you can hear a slide down. And don't let the high E string ring out. You want it to be muted as well. You're going to add your pinky to the 8th fret of the B string. And then play the G string and slide the whole shape down. So you strike the chord and you let it ring out. But then really just focus on picking, the B string and then the G string. So far we have. And what we're going to be doing is basically playing the top part of a G major chord, putting that ring finger again on the 3rd fret of the B string, pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E string. But now we're going to put a C in the bass. And I'm obviously using my middle finger to do that, 3rd fret of the A string. Then you put a B in the bass by playing that 2nd fret of the A string. And then you take everything off, so now there's an A in the bass. And then the riff repeats. I want to talk a little bit about the part that's panned to the right. So what's changing here is, instead of playing that D major bar chord, you can just play an open D major chord like this. And add your pinky to get that sus4 sound this time. On the 3rd fret of the high E string. So what's happening here is you strum the chord, and then play B, G, B. Do the same on the next chord. So now we have. You can hear the rhythm changes slightly with our last chord, where you play just B, G with a slightly different rhythm. So now if we put everything together, this is what the 2nd version of the riff sounds like. Up next, we have the riff from the feel-good hit single Starman. Let's start on the 5th fret of the G string with a bend, up a whole step, and then you do it again. And what's unique about this is, of course, you don't hear it come back down. So you release the bend once you've bent up to the right pitch. And then play the 5th fret as normal, but with some vibrato. So now we have. Now you play 3rd fret, slide down to the 2nd fret, and you definitely want some vibrato on that note as well. So now this is what we have. And now we walk up, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret. And now, you're gonna bend up a whole step on the 7th fret and do the same sort of thing where you bend it up 2 times in a row. And then you play the 7th fret normally with some vibrato. And now you play 5th fret, slide down to the 2nd fret with some nice vibrato. And this is what we have so far. And now we repeat the motif with a slight variation where you play the 5th fret of the G string, but this time you bend it 2 times in a row before proceeding as normal. Same as before. 3rd fret, slide to 2nd fret, vibrato. Walk up. And this is how it ends. We have 7th fret, whole step bend, bring it down, and pull off to the 5th fret. And then, on the D string, you play 7, 5. Feel free to add some vibrato on the end of the phrase at the 5th fret. Now when we put everything together, this is what it sounds like. Your phone was on, Jack. Okay, sorry. Oh, hi. It's Ayla from the future. Back when I made this video, I thought that learning songs was the most inspiring way to learn guitar. And guess what? I still think that, even here in the future. And that's why we transcribed hundreds of your favorite songs for you on guitareo.com, and you can go to guitareo.com/trial to check it out. Bye! Our third iconic David Bowie glam rock riff is that from Diamond Dogs. You're gonna start by playing the 4th fret of the D, G, and B strings. And I would highly recommend playing this with your 3rd finger and then kind of piling your other fingers on behind, at least the middle finger, so that you have more strength. So you can pull this whole chord shape down and then back again. And then you play the 2nd fret of the D, G, and E strings. And then you do the same thing again. And then you come off of the strings altogether and you just play the open D, G, and B strings. And what's really weird here is the rhythm, where they're kind of moving between different swing percentages, I almost want to say, which I don't think was intentional, but it's a cool detail to add if you can. And then you play an E flat major chord. And of course, I personally love playing my E flat major chords with this shape, but in this song, you definitely want to use this shape, so you end up with the 6th fret of the high E string. That note's definitely in there. And then you end up playing slightly less full voicing of a B flat major chord, 3rd finger, on the 8th fret of the D string. Your 2nd finger on the 7th fret of the G string. And then you bar with your index finger, your 1st finger, across the 6th fret of the B and high E string. And then you move the shape all the way up here, basically playing an F major chord. Up here, root on the 15th fret of the D string. And you start by playing the whole chord. You just strum it. And then you arpeggiate it, playing each string one at a time. And then when you land on that last note here, you kind of end up strumming the whole thing again, though you mostly just want that note to be what's ringing out most prominently. So far, this is what we have. And the only thing that changes the second time is when you come up to this F major chord, it's a little bit less busy than the first time. Where you strum it, there's a bit of a pause, and then you play each of the strings individually. Same as before. Slide down off of the chord when you play it. Now you know Diamond Dogs. Our fourth riff almost needs no introduction, because Rebel Rebel is one of those anthemic songs that most people know without even knowing that they know it. Let's learn it. Okay.
Please keep the whole thing.
So we're gonna start by arpeggiating a D sus2 chord, which is basically a D major chord minus your middle finger. And then, with your available middle finger, you take that third finger off and then put the middle finger there on the second fret of the B string. Then you play an E major chord that you want to strum twice. It's not the end of the world if you play the full chord with all 6 strings. I think you definitely want to at least avoid the low E and really just focus on strumming, the middle and upper strings. And then you play the low E. And then you end up putting your pinky on the second fret of the B string and pulling it off. And then you end up playing G, D. Our fifth iconic David Bowie glam rock riff is from the lesser-known song Watch That Man. So like a lot of glam rock songs from this era that have huge guitar sounds, there is more than one guitar track going on at any given moment, but we're gonna focus on the one that has the most lead guitar type of stuff going on. This starts with a G major chord to a C add 9. And this is a great chord movement to know. You play your 4-finger G major chord, and then you move your middle finger and index finger down a set of strings, and it becomes C add 9. And of course, because C is the root note of that chord, avoid the low E string, because that doesn't need to be there. Now we're gonna move to this chord shape, where what you want to do is move that index finger down to the A string, and then move your middle finger here to the second fret of the D string. So you can hear, we play the first 2 chords just once, and then you strum this E minor 7 over B chord a couple times. So basically, we're gonna come up to the 6th fret of the G string, play that with your middle finger, and then bar with your index finger across the 5th fret of the E string and the B string, and you'll wanna get the G string in there as well because we're gonna do some hammer-ons there, and of course we'll need to have that 5th fret covered. The rhythm part, the rhythmic aspect of this is probably the hardest part, because you can hear there's a pause. And then it comes in. So it's coming in on beat 2, and I wasn't playing on 1 or and, but I was thinking them so that, I know when to come in at the right time. And now we have a hammer-on where you take that middle finger off, and of course you hammer it back on. And then you end up playing a bunch of upstrokes here. And you can even get some ghost notes in between each strum. And then this whole thing repeats, and the rhythm of what you're doing on the A major triad changes a little bit. So basically what's happening there is as soon as you play these chords, you come back to that triad, 2 upstrokes in a row, and then it settles into this movement here, which continues on throughout the verse, where you're just hammering on, getting some upstrokes in there. And if you put everything together, it sounds like this. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and have fun learning these fabulous David Bowie glam rock riffs. Please leave a comment down below of what your favorite era in David Bowie's career was. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.